Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Wisdom Within. I'm with Michelle and Evie
Mendoza.
And we're in Michelle's
therapy room, yeah.
And we're all snug and cozy with the
We
curtains
are
closed.
indeed. We are indeed.
And we are just here to have some chats and find out a bit more about both of their lives, both of their stories. And just to have some convo that hopefully will inspire you and brighten up your day and your life forever.
Totally.
So, do you want to say hi? Say
Hi,
what you do in this
I'm
room.
Michelle.
What do you do?
This is my psychotherapy room, and I see a lot of people in here, and they bring all their stuff. So this room probably carries quite a bit of energy. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And it's seen quite a lot of stories over the years. So, yeah, I think it's quite nice that we're doing it in here.
I agree.
Yeah.
I love being in here.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And Evie.
Hi guys, I'm Evie. I'm a friend of Talia's.
I'm Evie's mum.
Right.
Yeah, so obviously they both said hey. So
Yeah.
now we can talk a bit more about your story and what you're currently doing.
I work for a company called Dirty. It's a functional mushroom company that we sell super blends, powders and gummies. It's super big in the wellness space. Well-being, wellness is a very, very big passion of mine. Always has been. Always will be. Previous to that, I was working in PR, in a PR agency. That was my first job from university. I went to University of Leeds and studied liberal arts, which is like humanities and social sciences, a bit of everything. Funny I say that, I never thought I was able, smart or clever enough to get to university. School was always really difficult for me. I think we've spoken about that. I always felt very different. I struggled quite a lot internally. I'm a very emotional, sensitive soul, thank you.
I got to do with me.
No, you give. That's where I get, I think, my emotions and my sensitivity from, which is, I think it's a blessing and it's a curse in a beautiful way. Obviously, you and I are very close, and we've gone through quite a journey together, which I think is important to touch on. Mother-daughter relationships are very, very interesting. I'm someone who puts a lot of pressure on myself, and I struggled a lot with anxiety, friendships, just kind of everything. Independence, growing up, taking responsibility, being away from home, being away from my codependent relationship that I think that we had then. I had more of a codependency on you than you had on me, and it was really difficult for me. I went travelling this year. I went solo travelling South and Central America for 4 months by myself, which was a really big thing for me. Definitely like the hardest thing I ever did. I always knew I wanted to go travelling. It was always something I knew I wanted to do by myself. But it was just a matter of time or when, and if I was going to have the courage or, you know, the pre-me going travelling was like a massive anxiety. What do I plan? It was like, oh my God, like all of that anxiety that I feel, that I struggle with on a day-to-day, like definitely on a weekly basis. When it comes up for me, it's like this just panic that my system goes into.
Or how did travelling help you with that? What did it teach you?
So I don't think I realised how much travelling helped me until I was home. So I think to go out of my environment that I've like always been in, so far out of my comfort zone, I didn't really have a choice. I didn't really have a choice to fall into that anxiety. I just had to get on with it. I was by myself, and the thing is, I always knew internally the wisdom was within me. Like, I knew everything I know that I need is within me.
Wisdom within.
Exactly.
Everyone has wisdom within.
Exactly.
It's just about touching in.
So that's where you found your wisdom within when you were travelling?
I think it's sparked. I've had elements throughout my life, whether that's therapy, conversations with you, being in touch with my spiritual side, that I have with wisdom within, and I'm able to touch into that and always come back to that. But when I came back from travelling, I felt this like overwhelming sense of independence and wisdom that I had everything I needed within me. And now traveling's been 4 or 5 months down the line, I'm struggling a bit, because when you're back in your environment that you've always been in, that I really believe like environment makes
It affects you.
yeah
like
it's massive.
100%.
I think that the travelling for you, because you did it completely on your own, if you had done it with people, I think you would have had a very different experience.
100%.
Yeah.
Massively.
And I think that because you had to cope, you know, by yourself, you realise that actually you can do it. And then you came back with all this independence.
And I think that's what helped me get the job where I am now. Because prior to my travelling, I would be very shy and embarrassed. Yes, it's a lack of self-confidence within of going to somewhere I want to go, whether that was an event or a yoga class or shopping or going to Shoreditch on my own. I wasn't able to do that by myself. I just wasn't comfortable in myself because I was so worried what everyone thought of me. Especially living in Northwest London, like that is something that I think a lot of people can fall into. I'm a victim to that. Like, I care a lot what other people think, and I think that's part of my inner child, and always trying and chasing to be like popular and liked and wanted, because I always felt that I wasn't enough. Even though no one else told me, it was like an internal thing. When I came back from travelling, there was like almost this perspective shift of, well, if I can travel to Peru or the other side of Peru by myself, I can go on the train to Shoreditch and go to a yoga class.
Exactly.
So that's what I think shifted, and that changed my life, really.
And that opened up lots of doors, and you met lots of people,
including reconnecting with you.
Yeah, we rekindled so fast.
Because I was a different
person.
Did
you know each other before?
Yeah, Evie and I met when we were like 13.
I didn't know.
Yeah, but I was a very different person.
And so was I. Well, thanks for sharing all of that. I think the power of conversation is just being open about what you struggle with, what your journey's been, because a lot of people internalize so much and don't share. So thanks for having the courage to share in this space.
I definitely share, but I have to feel comfortable sharing. And you're very good at enabling a space. That is one thing you're incredible at, and I think that that's important to acknowledge, because some people don't have the capacity to let someone else share because they're always talking themselves.
Yeah.
You're an incredible listener, and that's a big skill.
Thanks.
So thank you for having and opening this safe space.
Of course. So Michelle, I want to hear a bit more about what led you to becoming a psychotherapist. I don't even know.
Good question. It's a long way back.
We can go back.
Trying to think. I struggled falling pregnant. And when I really wanted to have kids, I was told by my gynaecologist that I may not have kids. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
I know you struggled with Jack, but I came out 1 second.
Yeah, no, yeah. But before that, so I joined like a group with part of the gynecological team, and there was a therapist there, and we got chatting, and I always loved talking to people and helping people and just, you know, hearing their stories.
Yeah.
And it really got me thinking that therapy really helped me during that horrible time. Yeah. And I thought, this is what I want to do. So I started looking into it, and then started studying, fell pregnant, had 2 kids. And it took me 5 years. And so I did all my courses. And that was it. I haven't really looked back. I've loved it. Absolutely loved it. But I would quite like to do workshops now, so we'll see.
Watch this space.
What do you want to do? You have to put it out into the universe.
I don't know quite how to put this out there really, but I would like to do something around female sexuality and maybe just desires, female passions, just about women feeling more comfortable in expressing themselves in whatever way they want to express themselves. And I think there's a lot of shame around sex, basically, as a young female adult now. And I think it should be much more talked about.
Beautiful.
Much more talked about.
Yeah.
And I'd love to create a little space where we could do that with young women.
Let's do it.
I know. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I know. I just think, there's so much embarrassment, isn't there?
Yeah. It's a huge problem. Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm at really.
That's amazing. And so obviously you are also very spiritually connected.
A little bit.
So yeah, how did that begin for you? Did you have a moment where you had an awakening, or was it a gradual
That was from
process?
childhood. So I remember, this is quite personal, but it's fine. I remember being very connected with God.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, there's a higher power there that I feel very connected with. And I called it God, obviously.
Yeah.
But I just remember feeling that there was more than just what we see around us. And then my dad was actually quite spiritual, weirdly. And we had a group of mediums over for a charity evening. And I was at home in Northwood, where I grew up. And I was about 8. And I remember the medium saying to me, you know you can speak to spirits, don't you? And I thought, what? What do you mean? So they sort of said something to me. And I just remember thinking, I never want to do it. I never want to give people readings or anything like that. But I definitely, use it. I use it for me.
Yeah.
How do you use it for you?
Just like a third sense, another sense. I think because I can't hear very well, I've only got 20% hearing. I think my other senses really heightened, and one of those senses is linking in with people spiritually.
That's really interesting. I didn't think about that. Like the fact that obviously you only have 20% hearing, which is a massive thing that I think you don't really think about, because that's something I want to acknowledge. I don't really think I think about how that actually is for you. The fact that you have 20% hearing, it's massive.
Recently I was thinking that in the 18th century, let's say, they didn't have hearing aids like they have now. I mean, people don't even know that I'm hard of hearing because you can't even see my hearing aids. But in the 18th century, I would have been in a home. I would have been in a special home because I would have been deaf. I was deaf.
So did that happen as a child, or?
Yeah.
It developed in school, no?
Yeah. It's hereditary. It's through the female line of the family. Apparently, it was from my grandma smoking in pregnancy, and lots of the females in my family have hearing loss. So we were kind of brought up with it. My mum's got a hearing aid, my sister's got a hearing aid, my aunt has got a hearing aid. I don't know whether you'll need a hearing aid, I doubt it. But I've got to say, the hearing aids now are unbelievable, and I'm very lucky.
Yeah, but it's still, I've heard a lot of people say that, like when you do lose one sense, other ones get heightened. So you got superpowers.
Yeah, superpowers.
I want to talk a bit more about your experience of codependency, because I think a lot of people don't talk about that, or kind of think it's normal, because attachment styles are a very interesting topic, and I also think a lot of the times people don't really dive into it or recognize when it's happening.
When do you think it started, the codependency?
Well, I actually just spoke about this with my friend, who I filmed a podcast with her, about my relationship with my mum. I think because I was and am a very sensitive soul, and at school I really, really struggled. Maybe as a baby I always really struggled. I was always very emotional, And as a mother, you know, every mother-daughter relationship is different, but I think that you're a very caring person. So naturally, when a mother sees their child struggling, naturally, this is what I'm assuming, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, you want to save that person. You don't want that person to struggle.
When you see your child really struggling, it's your pain. And that's where I think the codependency starts, because if they're not okay, you're not okay.
Yeah.
So where do you split?
Yeah. Where do you become your own person? How do you not bring that on yourself?
Because you always struggled. You struggled at school, you struggled at nursery, you had anxiety every time I left you. Anyway, you didn't like it.
When I was upset, you would always be there. You were always someone to be there for me, to a shoulder to cry on. And I almost started seeing my answer to everything, to any pain, to any struggle. Mum knew the answer. Like, you were almost this angel that was the answer to all my prayers. Everything. The answer to all my pain. And I think that you fed that.
Yeah.
Because every single time I was upset, you were there.
And I wanted to be there, obviously.
Of course. And you still are there.
I think I got to a point where I realised that I would be helping Evie much more if I let her work it out by herself.
Yeah.
And you get to that point as a parent that you can't heal everything. You can be there for them, you can be there to listen and guide and whatever. But ultimately, you also have to make mistakes by yourself. Yeah. So we started doing that, and that was around after university. There was a difficult bit because
uni was really tricky.
Yeah.
Uni was really hard because mentally I was really struggling, and there was a time where Mum came to me at university when I was in the worst way I'd ever been mentally, with my body image and with eating, where I'd lost a lot of weight and just wasn't in a good place. I was putting all my energy into work, getting this first that I wanted, that I thought was... It's so funny because I think for every stage of my life, I'm thinking that that's the most important thing in the world, and then you do it, and then it's like, what's next? But anyway, you came and you saw that I wasn't in a good place, and Mum almost in my head rescued me and took me away from that. And I think it was very heavy, and Mum didn't really have much of a life. You were just looking after me at 21. So that was a lot. And it was very hard for me to see because I was so in my own stuff and my own shit that I couldn't see how that was affecting you.
It's just that you just want to be there. Yeah. Everything else is on hold.
It was a really, really hard time. It was horrible. Yeah. I was really scared. You were really worried, and you didn't have the answer. And that was what was really hard for me. Because I was struggling so much. I was so low, the lowest I'd ever been, and I could see that it was affecting Mum, and she wasn't this strong person that had the answers all the time, because you're a human as well. So for your first time being a parent, I think that's also what people don't realise, what Lily and I were also speaking about, is it's your first time being a parent, you're a human being, you've got your own stuff, so where's that balance between being a child, relying?
Quite nice that you're more independent and that we can choose to spend time together rather than you feeling like
I need you. Yeah, I think there's still elements, and it happens where I get triggered, or sometimes when you're feeling really emotional, I have to watch myself.
You've done really well with that, by the way, lately. You've done really well with that. If I haven't been in a good place.
Yeah, I mean, because in the past, fucking hell, it really takes over me. Yeah. So yesterday, Mum wasn't in a good way, and it brought up stuff for me.
Did it?
Yeah. And I decided to myself, I'm not going to let it affect me. Because what's that going to do?
Well,
I just need to be still. I need to be stable.
Well, that's so mature. Look at the maturity there. Look how much you've grown. Really.
Mm.
I mean, you know, the fact that you're able to have all your own stuff as well. So that's where the codependency just sort of.
Yeah, I think also therapy helps with that.
It's a hard one because I think biologically you are like linked always, and like it's okay to need people sometimes as well.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like just really checking in with yourself, and like it's like a progress. Like as you get older, your like relationship with your parents change, and like even me, like I'm not codependent with my parents, but it's like I can feel that age I'm at where it's like you're slowly becoming like
Your own person.
your own entity, and like it's like a weird feeling.
It's really healthy.
Aww. You guys are so cute. So for people,
I love cuddles.
I love them too. So for anyone who is struggling with their mental health, what are the things that have like helped you the most on your journey?
Having someone to speak to.
Mm.
Having that safety net where you're not alone, struggling internally alone.
Mm.
So whether that's someone that doesn't understand you fully, it's just come up for me. I don't think a problem shared is a problem halved. Like it doesn't fix the problem, but if you're able to share your feelings, number one, someone else knows what you're going through, and you have that support. So support is really crucial. I think for me, for someone who struggled with their mental health, support has been a massive thing that's helped me.
Mm.
Number two, I would say what's someone struggling with their mental health, I think it's really important for them to get in touch with themselves internally, even though they're really struggling with their thoughts or whatever they're going through. There needs to be something that helps them feel more at ease. Whether for me that's journaling, that's yoga, meditation, practices that really ground me.
Mm.
And I think that is crucial to mental health because it coincides with self-care and mental health, because when you're looking after yourself, when I look after myself, my mental health is in a better place.
Mm. Yeah.
Like those practices are crucial for me, and it's not always easy to have them consistently and to have that as a routine, and there's no point being hard on yourself if you're not doing it every day, but to realise what that is for you that makes you feel better. It doesn't have to be yoga or journaling or meditation. It can be swimming, it can be going for a walk in the park, it can be listening to a podcast, it can be so many different things. It can be cooking, cooking for some people is therapy. It doesn't have to be the traditional therapeutic, whatever that means. What makes your heart and soul on fire? What makes you happy? Even if you're really struggling with your mental health and all you can see is darkness, there is something that makes you happy.
Yeah.
And I think it's so hard because when you're in that low space, and I know it just feels like, what the fuck? What's the point of living?
Yeah.
I actually think going out for 30 minutes a day and walking outside is paramount.
Yeah.
Everything.
And I want to learn a bit more about psychotherapy. Like for people who don't know what it is or haven't explored it, what principles and how does it work? What principles do you base it on?
Question. Well, there's I don't know if you've heard of it. There's lots of different. So there's counsellors, there's psychotherapists, there's psychologists, and there's psychiatrists.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's different areas of training.
Yeah.
So psychotherapy, you have to do. I did a 4-year diploma. Okay, so it's quite a lot of studying. And the main thing with psychotherapy is you have to accrue. I had to do 600 hours of speaking one-to-one. That's what I had to do. Plus, I had to shadow a psychiatrist, so you kind of understand about psychiatry as well. Sorry, I'm just going into the nitty-gritty bit of it all. So, I mean, to be a psychotherapist is a lot of work. Essays, studying, etc. So psychotherapy is normally where you can see someone for a minimum of, let's say, 6 sessions, which I don't normally do, up to I've been seeing someone now, my longest is 5 years. And that's regularly on a weekly basis. And they'll bring their daily stuff, or they'll bring stuff that they really want to work on. I don't like to work with people really, really long term, because I think that you can get really attached to your therapist as well.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
What I think isn't the whole point of having a healthy therapist, whatever that is that there gets to a point where you let that person go because they're able to deal with it on their own.
Yeah. So psychotherapy is just really exploring everything that you want to explore. You know, when a client comes to a psychotherapist, they have to be prepared to put the work in as well, not just go to a psychotherapist to be fixed.
Yeah.
They can't expect someone just to wave a magic wand and you're done.
Yeah.
They have to go to someone and think, I've got to work really, really hard here as well. And I always say that to someone, you've got to be prepared to bring yourself to do the work, to do journaling, to read books, to look at all the stuff that comes up for you, all your triggers, and bring them here. And that's really worth it.
Amazing.
So it's hard. It's not easy doing psychotherapy. It's not easy going to a therapist because you have to take all your vulnerabilities. But the one thing in psychotherapy that I think is really important as well is relationship. Okay, it's all about relationship. If you don't get on with someone, you're not going to bring your best self. You're not going to be vulnerable. You're not going to feel safe. So if you don't have a good relationship with someone, it doesn't matter how many certificates they've got on the wall, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Not going to work.
Yeah, it's about the rapport.
It's about the rapport.
Rapport.
Exactly. And you know that. It's like when you're looking for a therapist, really tune in and think, am I gonna feel safe with this person? Is it gonna work?
Okay, well, I always ask people at the end if you have any last bits of wisdom that you want to share with the world right now, or anyone listening.
Just be authentically who you are and don't apologise for it. That is what you need to do in your lifetime, is be authentically who you are and don't apologise for it. You know, people can always tell you you're too much, you're too emotional, you're too sensitive, you're too big, you're too small, you're too this, you're too that. Don't listen to everyone. Tune into yourself. Who should you be? Authentic. We're all completely different, you know. Completely different people. Just tune into who you should be. Who you want to be, who you are, and take pride in that.
It's very easy to think like, why me? Why am I like this? Why has this happened to me? But absolutely everything ever that's happened to you in your lifetime is leading you to where you're meant to be. So it's all of the struggle, grief, anxiety, everything that you've been through and you're going through, even though you're struggling, I think it's really important to remember. Like, I guess that piece of wisdom within is like, everything you're going through, number one, everything you go through will pass, like every moment, like every feeling that you have, and but everything that you're going through is leading you to your soul purpose. It's like where you're meant to be.
Yeah, beautiful. I think for me, what's been coming up is just like allow things to happen slowly. Just like really being present and just slowing down.
Yeah, like not everything needs to happen like
right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like trusting the timing of things.
Yeah. And that like where you're meant to be will happen in like divine timing.
But I think, you know, when you have things you want to achieve, you can be quite like, I want this all to happen right now. So just allowing things to happen.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
That's good for me, actually. I really need to hear that.
You're welcome.
And me. What? Yeah.
No, I do. I need to hear it.
Why?
Because you kind of think, okay, I'm 57, I haven't done X, I haven't done this, I haven't done that, I haven't done the other, when's it going to happen? But actually, I'm sure there's a time for everything.
Exactly. And also, you have already done so much.
Thank you, girlies.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you,
London.
Talia, for holding this space.
Of course. Thanks for
Wait,
welcoming
ready?
me back to London with so much love. Thank you so much for being here. I just wanted to let you know that I'm currently offering free one-to-one connection calls, which are 30 minutes and is a space for you to learn more about working with me one-to-one, and we can both explore how I can help you and serve you. And also, you'll be able to ask any questions about my upcoming retreat in France and Iceland in 2025. If you want more information on booking this or on the retreats, check out the show notes and also follow me on Instagram to stay up to date. If you loved this episode, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple or Spotify. Thank you so much for all your support, and I'm sending so much love. Have a beautiful day. Bye.